Hey folks, today we're going to be talking about the Musa Basjoo banana plant. These are the ones that I have in my backyard, and this is really my favorite plant of everything I have in my yard. It's these banana plants. They give the most tropical vibe out of anything. Guests that come over are always super impressed just by the size of them and what they provide here for the backyard. And they give the vibe that even in this cold climate that we live in, we feel like we're in the tropics, at least through the summers. So you can see these plants are about 16 feet tall right now. So they are a little bit elevated from where I'm standing, but I'm 6'2", and at the top of these, you're looking at about 16 feet tall. They can get even taller if your climate is a little bit warmer, or if you have a little bit of a longer summer, you can get them up to 20 feet. In colder climates, they might end up a little bit shorter. You might not quite get the same height, but even still, every year you can get bananas that look more or less like this if you do it the right way. And these plants, they are really easy to care for. I don't do a lot to them at all. I do have an automated drip system that waters them. But apart from that, I come out every 1 to 2 weeks and I trim off some of the leaves that are drying out, or maybe some that have broken and have fallen over. So other than that, there's not a lot that you have to do to them. They do spread, and so you do have to keep an eye on that. If you don't keep them contained a little bit, they can get out of control, but that's pretty easy to do. Each year I go out and I just trim out the ones that I don't want and make the bunch stay in the spot that I want them. As far as zone requirements go, these plants will survive to zone 5. Really, the most important thing is in the winter, you got to make sure that the roots don't freeze. Okay, now the leaves are going to die at 32 degrees. You're going to see them start to shrivel up. They'll sag down, and the pseudostem will also start to take damage once temperatures hit freezing. There are ways that you can combat that. For me, I wrap them every year, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. I use bubble wrap. Some people use leaves. Some people don't even bother, and they just deal with the plants the way that they have them. And the way that they start out. These things will grow a significant amount in one summer's time. And you can see where these started out at the beginning of this year. This picture is from May of this year, and you can see where they're at today. That's just growth from a couple of months, and no real magic to it. Get your water right, get your fertilizer right, and that's about all it takes. Now, the size of these things is going to depend on a few different ingredients. One is going to be your actual climate details. If you've got a shorter summer, or if the weather doesn't get quite as hot, you don't get quite as much sun in the summer, these plants will potentially max out 9-10 feet tall. In ideal conditions, you can get these things up to 20 feet tall and about 14 feet around at the top. And that's going to be determined by that climate that I talked about, how much you water them, and what kind of fertilizer, if any, you're putting on them. Note as well that plants in less than ideal conditions will produce fewer pups, which are the baby plants that come out each year. Propagating these plants, the best way to do it is really with the pups. So each year, every one of your established plants will grow anywhere between 2 and 6 pups, depending on how good the conditions are, what your weather's like, and just how well the plant is doing. So each one of those pups, you can take off of the main plant when it's ready, and that'll give you a new plant. So in this bunch here, I started with 13 plants at the beginning of the spring. I think I've given away about 6 or 7 plants this year. I've cut out a few extras just to get rid of them. And there's probably 40 or so individual new plants in this group that have come just from this year. So they will spread quite rapidly. They will grow lots and lots of new plants. Once you get to the point of having 10 plus, you'll get a lot of new plants each year. That's the easiest way to do it. So you see in here, each one of these that is really green, these are all new this year. The ones that have the dried out sides here, these are ones that came from last year, and that's something that happens over the winter here. Because of the colder temperatures, the outside layers will die off and dry up. So you can see which banana is new. You can see this is a new one right here in the back, and that one is about 10 feet tall, but brand new this year. This wasn't here in May. Now we're at the end of August, and there's a new 10-foot banana. You can see right next to it, there's another one that's about 6 feet. That's also new. The rest of those are established there, but they can grow very tall in one season. You can also grow them from the seeds. These will produce bananas, and from the seeds that are inside the bananas. They're not like regular grocery store bananas, what you would think of as a banana. They come full of seeds, and you can take those seeds and plant those as well. Growing new plants from seeds can be challenging. It doesn't work real well all the time. I've had mixed results personally. I know others have had very bad results. Some have had better than average results, but you can do it that way as well if you get to a spot where your plants are actually producing bananas. So a couple of interesting pieces of information about these plants. First of all, one thing a lot of people don't realize with banana plants is you can actually eat the pseudostem. It tastes kind of like celery. You can watch this other video where I actually take a couple of bites out of one, but you can eat the whole plant. You can eat the leaves. The leaves, I would say, taste more like grass. They're not super tasty. As you get into the stem, it tastes more like celery, but very comparable to celery. Lots of water, some fiber, and depending on how much you like celery, that might or might not be something that works for you. But just know that they are edible. In case of emergency, you can eat the whole plant. Speaking about eating, one question that a lot of folks ask about the bananas is, can you eat the bananas? And you'll see a lot of people say, a lot of websites out there will say, no, you can't eat the bananas. Well, that's not entirely true. Now, as I said before, the bananas are not like bananas that you're used to if you go to a grocery store and buy some bananas. Those bananas have no seeds on the inside, and it's just all fruit. The bananas that grow from the Musa Basjoo are mostly seeds on the inside, and those seeds are just not something you want to eat. So the reality is, yes, most of the banana is seed that isn't edible, but it does have some pulp in there, and you can actually eat that if you wanted to. Another thing about these plants is that in Japan, they actually use these plants to make fabric similar to linen or hemp. The plants themselves are very fibrous and can be used to make cloth. And that's why you see them sometimes referred to as Japanese fiber bananas or fiber bananas, because they actually take that fiber and use it for producing cloth in Japan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with somebody that lives in a cold weather environment that would like to grow Musa Basjoo and other tropical looking plants in their yards. And subscribe to the channel for more videos on how you can grow tropical looking plants in cold weather environments.